Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Rav Dessler. Okay, so since we're like a week away from Pesach, for me actually, I'm not going to be here on Wednesday already, so that means my last class will be on Tuesday, a week from today.
Next week.
Correct, next week. I just want to do I want to go through some ideas that I think help me at least. I hope will help you as well in your preparation for the avodah of Pesach itself. We know that Pesach is all about emunah. It's about having faith. And there's two steps to having a deeper sense of faith. One is having something called emunah, being faithful. There's another thing called bitachon. And what is the difference between emunah and bitachon? You've heard these ideas before, and what I want to do is I brought down a bunch of different.
Is there a slight difference between faith and trust?
Yeah. So what's that difference, right? So what I'm not going to tell you what I think it is.
Maybe trust is.
Okay, sure.
Maybe trust is, I've seen you defend me before, so therefore I think you're going to defend me again. And faith is just belief, but I don't have the evidence. It's non-evidence-based faith as opposed to evidence-based.
So it's interesting.
Trust.
I used to think that's what faith was in Judaism, but that's not what faith is in Judaism. The way I understand it, my limited understanding of things, is that emunah means being faithful to. So the way it works is that if you look, there's actually a fascinating Gemara that speaks about the nature of. So sorry, guys. It speaks about the nature of truth, emet, and emunah. Now, obviously, if you had to choose between truth and faith, truth is the best thing you can have, right? Truth is awesome. Who doesn't want truth? We all want truth. But the nature of truth is that truth is short-lived. The nature of truth, in Kabbalistic terms, is that truth is not something you could ever hold on to. It's something that's ever fleeting. However, in the partnership between emunah, emet, and emunah is being faithful to your truths. Right? So it's not having faith in the same way that we use the word faith in other religions.
So faith is towards me and trust is towards him?
Correct. Good. That's part of it. Well, we're going to unpack more. Being faithful
is me to it.
To it. Correct. To it. But being being faithful has to be tethered to a truth. It's not just like the tooth fairy. It's not some abstract idea that you wish is true. Okay, we believe that there is that any faith has to be somehow connected to something that is emet, something that is true. Anyway, so this sheet over here is I brought down like 4 or 5 different sources from different rabbis throughout history who deal with the idea of emunah and bitachon. Okay, so first we're going to have Chovot HaLevavot, and let's see how the Chovot HaLevavot brings it down. He says, even though a person believes with clarity that his affairs are in the hands of God's decree, and that whatever God chooses for him is the best possible outcome, nonetheless, he is obligated to engage in actions that will bring him benefit. Exactly, hishtadlut. He must choose from among available means the ones that appear to him to be the best, and believe that through them, God will bring about what he has already decreed. And therefore, it's like hishtadlut. I have to do my thing. I can't sit back and do nothing. The Chovot HaLevavot was saying you have to be engaged in something. There's no saying, okay, Hashem will take care of everything. I'll just sit and learn according to Chovot HaLevavot, and Hashem will take care of everything for you. You have to figure out the best possible means of action, and then you have to let go and let God. Okay, for example, he says, regarding human life, although a person's lifespan and fate are determined by God's decrees, right? Nonetheless, he must do what is within his power to preserve his life by eating, drinking, dressing, living as needed. He should not leave it all to God and say, if God decreed that I will live, then he will keep me alive, even if I never eat or seek a livelihood. All right? Just as this applies to life and death, so too it applies to health, sustenance, clothing, housing, and good character traits. One must pursue the means to acquire them and to avoid whatever undermines them, even while believing that those means are ineffective unless God has decreed the result. For instance, a farmer must plow, clear the weeds, sow, and water when there's water available. Along with that, he must trust in God to make sure that the land is fruitful, to protect it from damage, to decree its yield, and to increase its yield, and to bless it. So we're saying that ultimately what he's saying over here is in his Shar HaBitachon, he's saying that Bitachon is doing hishtadlut and letting the process take place. That's it. Put in your clear effort, according to Chovot HaLevavot.
So you're saying that it's faithful to do hishtadlut.
Yeah, that's part. Yes, I'm going to say that. We're going to get there, right? That it is faithful to do hishtadlut, right? So how it's funny. Like when I was, I come from a very modest means. My family were immigrants. They came to this country with nothing, so if I needed something when I was a kid, I had to go out and get a job and get it. That's just the only way to get it. There was no daddy was going to buy you a pair of jeans. I had to go, I used to go at work and I got whatever I needed. I had to take care, I had to survive. I was a survivor, right? So for me, in the world that I grew up in, I always understood that like, if you don't take care of yourself, no one's taking care of anything for you, right? There was no bitachon. There's only kochav yotzi miyadi. There's only my strength comes out of my hand, and there is nothing else. That was the world that I came from. And I think on a baseline level, if you're not really thinking about it, that's how everyone thinks about the world. No one's going to be there to take care of you unless you're a trust fund baby, right? No one's there to take care of you. You're going to have to fight for scratch for every single penny that you have. Okay. Now, what Bitachon is saying is like this, because I remember this when I started really working, right? How much do I let go, right? Do I put in, 18 hours a day? Do I put in 8 hours a day? How much work do I have to, and I remember when I was thinking about like becoming observant, like the pushback was like, well, how do you do this? Like, I got to go to shul, I got to go to pray, I got to learn, I have mincha, mariv, I got to find kosher food. It makes things, it just eats into my day. I have less hours to go ahead and work. That's how I was thinking about it.
Atlantic City, everything on 00.
What's that?
Atlantic City, put everything on 00.
Yeah, you could. You're right. It's true. I mean, it's funny actually. One of my first jobs was actually in Atlantic City in it was a Passover program called Euro Atlantic. It was the only kosher Passover program in Atlantic City. And I remember I was a waiter there, and I had no idea. I didn't know anything about kosher. I didn't even know how I got the job. It was like the worst place. We were like serving people matzah and eating pizza like from Domino's, like in our rooms next door. It was horrible. Anyway, so but I had good memories. So anyway, did the hotel go out of business? Did the trip? What trip? In Atlantic City. It was. What do you mean?
He wants to go to
Did the Euro Atlantic?
Oh, the Euro Atlantic. Yeah, I think so. I think it's no longer. There's no more kosher hotel in Atlantic City. Anyway, so the idea of what at least over here the Chovot HaLevavot is saying is that there's two stages over here. Number one is finding the best possible means. That means if you are talking about your health, what's the best diet for you? I've been struggling with this also. Like, what's the right kind of food for me to eat? And I figured out over the years that honestly, I feel the best when I'm on a keto or paleo diet. I could eat anything, but I feel much better and I feel healthier, more clarity, more strength.
You had the 400 pounds of tomahawks.
I should have had them. I wish I was there for that. It looked amazing. But the idea is that I do whatever I can do for my ishtadlut. Okay, if that makes sense for me, then I'll do it. I don't worry about all the other things. I have to do what makes the most amount of sense and then let Hashem do His thing. Letting go and letting God is one of the most difficult things when it comes to bitachon. He says, just as it is wrong for a farmer to leave his land uncultivated while trusting God and say, if God decrees the land should grow produce, I will too do so it will do so even without planting. So to an artisan, merchants, employees must pursue their livelihood through their respective trades while trusting that sustenance is entirely in God's hands. Letting go, letting God. I went ahead yesterday and I bought some stock. This guy gave me this crazy advice, buying this thing, whatever it is. And I bought some. I have no idea what's happening. I'm doing my ishtadlut. I trust that he's an intelligent man and that he did his due diligence, and I'm working off of that, right? But I'm letting go. I'm letting Hashem. I'm creating a means for Hashem. Doing nothing is not an option. Having money sitting in cash doing nothing is the worst possible thing. You want things working for you. You want to be investing. Okay, that is the Chovot HaLevavot. That's his approach. Now listen to the Ramban. This is the Ramban in Vayikra. He says, fine. So the general principle is like this. He's talking about bitachon. He says, when the Jewish people are complete in their righteousness and numerous, their lives will not operate through natural means, not their bodies, their land, or individuals. God will bless their bread and water and remove illness from their midst. And they will not need doctors or medical precautions at all. As it says, for I am God, your healer. So too, in times of prophecy, the righteous would consult prophets and not doctors, even if they sinned and became ill, like Chizkiyahu. Right, Chizkiah. The verse criticized Asa, the king. He was the great grandson of Rechavam. Right, he's seeking for the doctor rather than God. If turning doctors was normal, why should the scripture fault him? The blame is only for not turning to God. Okay. One who seeks a profit does not seek doctors. What role do doctors have in the house of those who do God's will? Once God's promised, I will bless your bread and water, remove illness from you. So according to this, right, Ramban, right, it seems like the Ramban is saying, don't worry about it. Look, God will take care of everything. So it seems like there's a little bit of machloket here, machloket rishonim, as to how we understand bitachon. Let's look at the next Ramban. Even though Yaakov was righteous, after Lavan kept changing his wages, he still worked hard to protect himself. God showed him in a dream that he saw Lavan's injustice and would intervene. Therefore, Yaakov stopped using physical methods, like stripping rods for breeding, and began to rely solely on God. This shows Yaakov initially employed strong human effort, hishtadlut, until God assured him of his help, after which he ceased his effort. Two different opinions. According to the Ramban, he says, what do you mean? Once you have bitachon, you no longer need hishtadlut. According to the Chot HaLevavot, he says, no. Bitachon is doing the hishtadlut, putting in the effort, and then letting go, doing everything you possibly can to get the best results, and letting Hashem do the rest. You're not in control of the results, he's saying. The Ramban is saying, no, forget about that even. You don't have to go as far as doing any hishtadlut. It's all Hashem. Once you have haftacha that's coming from Hashem, let go and let Hashem. And look at Rabbi Yisrael. According to Chot HaLevavot, one must trust God specifically through human effort, because relying on miracles is forbidden. The Ramban, however, holds that true bitachon is casting one's burden solely on God without any cause. So you two different approaches. Bezrat Hashem, we're going to finish this idea tomorrow and see how the Achronim answer this seeming conundrum. Have a great day, everybody.